Okay, so today we'll be doing football bounce animation. Now, it's important to do this because we have done the vertical bounce. Now we'll be doing a horizontal bounce where the ball, bounces multiple times and loses its energy and then just rolls on the floor. Okay. This is important because after this we will be doing ball characterization exercise. Okay, so we will be creating a short storyline for the ball as a main character. Okay, so yeah, let's start. So we will be using a reference for this. So let me show you how we import references and how to actually make references. See, whatever work you're doing in 3D, it's important that you have references. Okay, whether you're modeling, whether you're sculpting, whether you are animating, or whether you're making any simulation, it's always important to have a reference. Okay, so how do we get the references? We basically record the video or we get a pre-recorded video like from YouTube or anywhere. Like if you saw a video, you can like download it and then you can convert it to an image sequence. Okay. So if you use Premiere Pro or After Effects, you can just convert it there. It's very easy to do. Uh, I will show it after the session. Okay. Like first we'll just start and then once we're done with it, I will show you how you can convert the sequence. No matter which video you have, you can convert any video. Okay. So how to actually get the image sequence inside Maya? So right now, like we have been working with just one viewport. So when you're working with a reference, it's always better to switch to two viewports. So I mean the viewport is same only, we just have different camera views. So I'll split it. So now we have two different camera views. By default, one is perspective and one is front. So this works out for us because whenever we get any image reference, uh, whether it's a single image or an image sequence for a video, it should always be in an orthographic view and not in the perspective view. Okay, if you put it in the perspective view, it will not work correctly. So always do it in the orthographic view. So the front view works. Okay, so I have the reference here. I will copy the location. Okay, one second, let me show you. So yeah, this is where I have the reference. I will select and copy the location. Then I'll come to view, image plane, import image, and here it is. And I'll click on open. So we have the image here. But if I hit play, nothing will happen because it's reading it as a simple image. It is not reading it as a sequence. So we just have to change one setting for it. You have to go to the attribute editor on the side and turn on use image sequence. As you do that, you will see the video is playing. Okay. So yeah, this is set. Now, obviously, as I said, viewport is only one. We just get different camera views. So obviously this image plane is visible in both. So I'll just take it back and I'll hide it over here. So if in one viewport you don't want to see the image plane, you can do it. Just go to show and you can uncheck image plane. And now it's no longer visible there. It's still there, but it's not visible. While in this viewport, it's visible. Okay. So just like this, you can hide and unhide whenever you want. So I will be using this reference in a very easy way so that everyone can, uh, you know, catch up very quickly. Okay, how to use the reference. This is not the way to always use the reference, but it's a good introduction and easy to follow. Yes, Udakar, obviously, uh, shortcuts are always there, but it's not important to always talk about shortcuts because there are lots of new people here. So I try to minimize shortcuts as much as possible. Mostly we use shortcuts to hide and unhide NURBS curves. So that's why yesterday I talked about that. Okay. All right. So as I was saying, that we will be doing this, like using this reference a little bit differently. So basically, I will be putting the ball rig here and we will just map it out. Okay, don't worry, we'll talk about it. So let me import the reference, the rig, and then you'll understand. Now, today I won't be importing it as how we've been doing it. Like I just selected the rig and I imported it by dragging and dropping it. Okay. That's not something that we do in a studio. And there's a reason behind it. When you import an object, a rig in a scene, it becomes a part of the scene. Okay. And then let's say if some change is required in your rig, then your animation will go to waste, right? If the controllers have to be changed, something has to be changed because when you're working in a studio, multiple times changes happen as the work progresses. So this is not how we do it. Plus, another reason is when you import a rig into your file, there are chances that your rig can get corrupted if you accidentally delete any nodes. Okay, like the rigs are made up of multiple nodes. So so that's why we don't, like, when you're working on a proper scene, don't import it unless there are no other options. What you must do is you must always reference it. Okay, so I'll go to file, I will go to create reference, click on that, and then you will have to find where your file is, put the location there and select your rig, and you have to just click on reference, and you can see it will come out normally. There's no difference. If you go to the outliner, you will see that in this group sign, you see a little diamond. Okay. This tells us that this is a reference rig. Best part about this is if you accidentally, like, let's say you have the controller selected and if you hit delete, it will not allow you to delete it because it is just a read only file. Okay. It cannot be deleted. You can definitely animate it, but you cannot change anything about the rig. This is the best part about referencing any object, any file. Okay, so this is why we use it because you can always update this rig. Let's say when you're working in a studio, uh, for some reason, some controllers have to be changed. Something has to be changed. Okay, but your animation work should not go to waste, right? Just imagine that you have done such a long animation, let's say 500 frames of animation work you've already done, and suddenly you realize that something in the rig is not working, or maybe you need an extra controller. So you tell the rigging department to make those changes. Now let's imagine if you were doing it while importing the rig, then your work will go to waste. But since you were working in the referencing mode, all you'll have to do with the new rig is you'll go to the reference editor, you'll just put the new location here and reload it. Like the new rig location will be kept here and it will be reloaded and it will be seamless. Okay, your work will not get ruined. This is the reason we use referencing. It also keeps your work safe. Okay, so just always use this method to keep everything safe, to keep your work corruption free, because it could accidentally, like, see, sometimes when you're working we don't understand. Let's say for some reason you opened all these groups here. All these groups are important. You can see the joints are there. So many things are there, right? If you accidentally delete anything and you don't notice it at that time, it will ruin things for you because next time when you open the file, your animation could be gone. So that's why we use referencing. Another thing that you should always do when you're working in any software, doesn't matter whether it is 3D, whether it is 2D, if you even work with softwares like Premiere, After Effects, you should be knowing that these softwares are prone to getting crash. Okay, like you're working on something, it could just crash. You wouldn't know why, but sometimes it happens, right? So when it accidentally crashes like this, you could lose all your work. So you should create a habit of saving your file. Okay. So always save your file. You can create a folder. Let's say now that we're doing the football bounce animation. So create a folder named football bounce and you can keep saving your file. Save, click on save scene. Let me show you. Like I'll go to the desktop. I will create a folder. Okay. Football bounce. I'll copy this name and go inside it. And uh, I'll just name it as 01 or something. So this is my first file. That's why I put 01 and I'll click save as. So now you can keep on going. You can click on save scene as and change the number. This is the manual way of doing it, or you can click on increment and save. When you do that, Maya will let's say I made a change here. I will go to increment and save. You can see it created, it added 001 here. Let me show you. Like if I go to the file, you can see it is saving. It added 001 here. So just like that, you can get all your versions saved. Okay. So multiple ways of saving things. Let me delete these two files. So we're back to the main file. Okay. And one more thing that you should do is you need to turn on autosave. Okay. Because sometimes you could forget saving it, right? So if you turn on autosave, there will be a backup. So you should go to settings, just click on preferences here, and you'll go to files and projects, files/project. By default, this will be disabled. Okay, you have to enable it and make sure to click on limit autosaves. If you don't do that, it will keep on creating infinite amount of files, and then your disk will be completely filled. So always limit autosaves, and then you can put a number. So let's say I've created this file as football bounce, right? So it will only create 10 versions of autosaves, and in those 10 versions only, it will keep on updating them in every 7 minutes. So you will always have your recent data. Okay. If you have a lot of space in your PC, then you can afford to have more number of autosaves. So this number of autosaves work according to the name of your file. So so the football bounce file will be saved up to 10 numbers, and it will keep on getting updated because in every 7 minutes I have turned on the autosave. Okay. And where will it save? By default, it will be set to project. So you just go to named folder, and then you can find the disk which has a lot of space, and you can just create a folder there, and it will keep on getting saved over there. So if you lose your file, if it's not working, it's getting corrupted, you can go there into the backup and find your file. Okay. So make sure to do these things because it will be helpful for your workflow. Okay. Doesn't matter whether you're animating, whether you're modeling. These are the things, these are some standard things that we always do. Okay. All right. Okay, so some people are talking about MB and MA. So basically, it's ASCII and binary formats. So see, by default, Maya saves the files in MB. Okay. So only difference is in MA file, you can actually go and make changes to the code of it. If something goes wrong, you can make changes to it. Now, when you're doing it personally, when you're working on your personal works, obviously you don't know coding or anything like that. So if anything goes wrong with your file, you cannot do much to save it. But when you're in a studio environment, there is a special team which deals with all these technical things. So if anything goes wrong with your file, they can try and save it if it is saved in the MA format. So in studios, it is saved as MA. It's not a big deal. Like when you're working personally, you can save it in whatever format you want. Okay. It's just a matter of whether you're in a studio or not. So yeah. Main thing which is important to follow is referencing and auto saving your file and creating a habit of saving your file because this will affect your workflow whether you're working in a studio or not. Some people tend to do freelance work. So these are the habits that will always help you and save your work. Okay, if you got any freelance work and you lose all your work, then what will happen? You won't have any backup, right? So always just follow these habits because this will always support your workflow. All right. Okay, so now that we're done with all of that, I am going to increase the size of this, okay? And we will see where the floor of the image is. You can see this is where the ball hits the ground, right? It might sound confusing right now, but just give me a moment. Let me create a plane here for our floor, okay? And I will take the uh, this video image reference and I will put it right over here. You can see this is the grid line, the baseline. So why am I putting it here? Because it will be easy to animate this way. All you'll have to do is like you put the ball here and you put the ball here. So it's easy to animate that way. Okay. That's why I've put it here. So working with reference, this is your first reference. So I'm trying to streamline the process as much as possible. So this is a very easy way to work with. So just do these settings and you can easily have the animation done. Okay. So just matching the floor with it and I will put it in a layer and I will reference it. So now I will not accidentally select it. Okay. All right. That is done. Now, if you want, you can change this football to whatever you want it to be. I'll keep it like this. And see, there is one more thing. If you look at the video reference, someone is holding the ball, right? And then they let go of it, and then it starts to fall. So obviously, we don't have a character here, right? We are just showing that the ball is about to bounce like this. So the first few frames are not helpful for us. What we want is we need to animate after the ninth frame. You can see the ball is now falling after the ninth, right? Anything before that we don't want. So how do we disable that? How do we remove those frames? Deliberately, I have kept these beginning frames because I want to show that we can offset the image sequence. Okay. I will remove this layer from referencing so I can select the reference. Then I'll go to the attribute editor. You can see there is an option known as frame offset. So basically, what I want is this ninth frame should start from the first frame itself. I don't want to see this. I want to instead see the ninth image on the first frame. Very easy to do that. You just need to see the number of frames. So we have already decided the ninth is the frame that we want as the first frame. So I just go here and I'll type 9. And now you can see the first few frames are gone. The ball is now like the ninth frame has been shifted to the first, and we see the ball bounce. Okay, all right. And you must be thinking what happened to the first few frames? Like they haven't magically disappeared. They're still there. You see, we have negative space as well in the time slider. So if I type -15, you will get to see negative frames as well. So you can see the beginning frames are still there. It has just shifted them. Okay, because I typed 9 here. So the ninth frame has been shifted to the first, and therefore we see the proper movement. These negative frames basically are there for simulation purposes. We don't use them for animation. Okay, let's say you have created an animation and your character is wearing clothes and those clothes have to be simulated, the hair has to be simulated. So the thing is that let's talk about cloth simulation. If your character is wearing a cloth and right from the first frame you have given it a very uh, athletic type of a pose. Let's say the character is sitting on the ground, preparing to run, like that run type of a pose the character is in. The problem happens is that when the character is already in a weird type of pose, it becomes difficult to do simulation. So what we do is we go to the negative frames and we keep the character in the normal straight pose. And therefore the simulation gets started from the negative frames. And by the time we reach the main animation, it starts to flow properly. Okay, so that's why we have negative frames in every software for simulation purposes. Okay. Anyway, let's get back to the first frame and everything is set up. The ball is there, the size, you can see it matches, right? So you can just follow along. So it's very easy to do the way we're doing it. You just have to put your ball on top of the image. You can see the image seems very dark over here. It has a lot of darkness and it's looking even more darker compared to how it actually was. That's because of the color space. Okay, so color space basically makes colors look different. So ACES is the color space by default. So it makes things look even darker. So if you're not able to see things clearly, through your reference, then what you can do is you can go over here and set it to untone. So that way the colors will appear brighter. Basically, all the contrast which was there has been removed. Okay. So there's no toning, they are appearing as raw. So therefore, no darkness is there. So it's easy to follow. Okay. Anyway, so I'm putting the ball here and I will put a key. Okay. We will just be doing translation right now. I've put the key there and you can see the ball hits the ground at 14th. See, this is how we will be keying. Because see what we did with the vertical bounce, we did a key on the top frame, like I mean the top position and at the point of impact. That's exactly what we'll be doing here. Doesn't matter that we have multiple bounces, but that's exactly what is happening. There is no other thing which is happening with the ball. It just goes up and down, right? Nothing else. Of course, there is rotation here as well. That is also something we will add. But right now, this is all that is happening, the speed change and everything, the spacing change which is happening here, that we'll control by the curves itself, right? Just like how we did for the vertical ball bounce, exactly that way we will be doing for this as well. Okay. So you can see the ball hits the ground at the 14th frame. You see, I have aligned the reference this way. You will see how easy it will be. Now what I'll do is I'll just go to the translate y and I'll type 0. You can see it is on the ground and I just have to shift it forward. So you can see I have the proper positioning. Now if I hit play, you can see it's going weightlessly because obviously we haven't controlled the curves yet, but we have got the main positions. Okay. Is this much clear to everyone? What I did, like, let me do it again. First, we positioned the ball here and then on the first frame, and then I went to the impact position. I typed 0 in translate y and I moved it forward. So we got the position very easily. Yes, exactly. Extreme poses. We'll be talking about all the different types of poses when we will be creating a storyboard for our ball characterization after we complete the football bounce. Okay. So you don't, nobody has to worry about the fancy names of all these poses. Just understand. Okay. So we have the top position and the bottom position. And then I'll go to the next top position, which is around here. Take the ball there. And then the next one, which is here, type 0 and move it forward. And we'll just continue doing this. Okay. It's slightly repetitive because obviously the ball is, going up and down. So just bear with me a little bit because this is all the work which is required. That's it. Once you're done with it, all you'll have to do is you'll just have to work with the curve. Yes, we'll have to add rotation also later on, but right now we're just doing translation in the Y and the X axis, the forward and the the vertical axis. So horizontal and vertical axis are getting changed. So keeping it as simple as possible. You can see here, like if I hide the controllers, you can see the grid line is over here, but the ball has shifted. That's because this ball has not gone in a straight line in reality. It has translated in the Z axis. Okay, so that is also something we can do later on. You know why it is happening? Like, if someone just make the ball fall down without any force, it is supposed to go in just the forward axis. It will not translate sideways unless there's a force getting applied on it. If there is wind, it will go sideways. Now, in this case, it's a basement, so there is no wind. Why is it going sideways? Because the floor is not even, it is bricked, right? This interlocking has been done on the floor. So obviously, when the ball is bouncing, it is getting hit at these edges, and that's why the trajectory of the ball is changing. That's why it is tilting. In our case, we are obviously using a simple plane. So even if you keep it straight, it will be accurate. You don't have to worry about it. Okay. So I'll just do a few more frames because this keeps on going. Now, if it was on a straight floor, it would stop earlier than this. The reason is like whenever the ball is getting on the ground, it is getting, at times it is getting hit by the edges of the bricks, and therefore it is gaining again some type of momentum, and therefore it just continues going. If it was on a flat floor, it wouldn't go on for so long. But it's okay. We'll just continue. And this is the last one I'll do. And then it hits the ground here, and that's it. Now, see, whenever you throw a ball, it is bouncing. It just doesn't suddenly stop, right? Even in our reference, it will actually continue to roll on the ground after a certain distance. Now, here again, it is still slightly bouncing. Again, it is bouncing because of the floor. So we will ignore that. What I'll do instead is here you can see I had reduced the height so much. So right after this, I will just move it forward. So you can see it just rolls after that. So you can see I have moved it a little too much. See, the speed of the ball in the bounce has been reduced. So I have moved it a little too much in a span of 4 frames from 116 to 120. That's why it is looking weird, right? Because the ball has lost so much of energy. When it is supposed to roll on the ground, it will do so very little, right? Right now, the speed appears faster because in a short span of time, I have increased the distance too much. So what I'll do is I will decrease its distance. Still, this is fast. Let's decrease it even more. And now that is much better. Okay. So it is slow. All right. So now we have the basic uh, placement or the blocking of the position. You can see how horrible it looks because there is no mass to the ball, right? It looks very floaty. So what we'll do, we'll go to the graph editor and we will be adjusting the translate y curve. Okay, this is our curve. I will tell you a very easy way of adjusting things. So if you look at this curve, what happens here? Like if you want to increase the speed, obviously you will make it steeper, right? Now, because there are so many bounces, and it is obviously flat, the tangents are completely flat. So if I break them and I sit and move them up all the way to the top, it takes a lot of time. So what I'll do instead is I will select all these base keys. You can see I've accidentally selected the top ones also. So I will deselect those. Okay. So now I have all the base ones selected. What I'll do here is I'll go to the linear tangent and I'll click on that. And now you can see we have these straight. So now if you want to edit it, you'll have to do very minimal amount of work, not too much work. Okay. So like after this, if you'll have to increase the speed, only slightly you will be moving it compared to if it was so much on the ground. So this reduces the work by a lot. Okay. And you can see I haven't broken tangent at the top here because uh, it's not ideal to break the tangent for the top frames because we want to slow the speed down, right? And there are two sides to it. So slowing them down like this helps, like when it is working as a seesaw, because you're just moving one end and it is affecting the other side also. Whereas if you break the tangent, you'll have to do this separately and this separately. So that will increase your work, isn't it? So that's why using the normal seesaw method works. But for the base keys, where the speed is supposed to be faster, you have to break it down because you will be adjusting the speed like this on both the sides. Okay. Now you will see it will look a little bit better because you can see it's not perfect, but you can see it's looking better now, right? Now let's get back to the curves. So we want to decrease the speed at the top. So we will flatten it. Let's continue flattening it. making sure it's quite flat so that the speed is slower. Okay, so just do this. And these are really small, so it doesn't matter much because height difference is so less, but still I just did for all. Now you can see more difference. Still, it looks kind of weightless and very light because the speed when it's going down is not fast enough. So let's increase that speed. And we'll do that by making the curve even more steep. So I will do that. I'll quickly move them high, making them steep. We'll also match it with the reference in a minute. Now here you can see the height is so less, so it's difficult, but still we can manage by zooming in. That's it. Now you will see it will look better. See, it looks like the ball is now having some weight. Okay, all right. Yes, see, reference is provided when you have to exactly match it uh, from the movie itself. Otherwise, you have to create references on your own. Okay, that's why in our course we teach how to create. Yes, exactly, for rotomation. That's what I said. Like when it has to be exactly matched uh, with what is happening in the movie. Okay, if you get a shot, let's say the character has to be replaced, and you have to do. I mean, basically, what directors do is they shoot a person walking, like, and they want a robot to be walking in place of that. So they will shoot a video for you, and it doesn't happen with all movies, but in some movies, and then you just have to match everything with it. So that is known as rotomation because you're directly copying it, kind of exactly what we did here, because we did rotomation only. We're copying it exactly on the frame. When we don't have this, and like when you're working in a cartoon animation studios, you will be given characters, cartoon characters, right? And you have to do a scene where a character gets off the bed, starts dancing, or does anything like that. Then in those cases you have to record yourself. You can definitely search on YouTube, or if you know of a movie where exact that scene is there, then you can ask to your supervisor if you can use that reference by showing it to them, and if they allow, you can download and use that reference. Otherwise, you have to record yourselves. So in animation studios there is always a room, a camera, which the employees can use, and they can record it. Okay, if they don't have that, then they will allow you to use your own camera and record yourself, and then you can use that. Okay, so that's how it works. All right, so you can see we have edited it. Now let's try to match with the reference. Okay, you can see the speed over here is actually a little bit faster, and I have slowed it down a little too much. So let's reduce that a little bit. And here I will adjust it by slowing it down again. Okay, so you can see that is now matching it better. Okay, and then we get at the top. So you can see here, the speed is actually faster. Ours is not that fast. So let's raise it up. Now you can see it is matching. You will see it will not 100% match again because in this case, the ball is interacting with a uneven floor. So it will not 100% match with what you're doing. Okay. You just have to keep it close enough. That's it. Now again, the speed of falling is, little faster. So just adjust. So I am selecting this tangent and making it a little less flatter. So now you can see the ball is actually following it. Okay. Then again, over here, the speed is faster. So making it steeper. And sometimes you can also use the top one to control things as well. But here it should be even more fast. Let's do that. Now you can see it matches. At the top, you can see it again gets disbalanced. So now you can use this upper controller, the upper tangent, and now you can see it matches. Okay, it will, again, I'm saying it will not 100% match. And the reason behind it is just the floor, just how the floor is made. Okay, so just try to keep it close enough. That's it. And then you'll get a better result. So now you can see it is almost like exactly going along with it. Just slight movements are there and they're happening only because of the floor. So we have the up and down movement. You can see it is not looking natural at all. That's because there is no rotation in it. When a ball is thrown at a certain angle, like if it is going forward in the forward axis, then the rotation will also happen in that axis. Again, if there's a exterior force happening on it, a wind is affecting it, or if someone, everyone must be knowing about the spinner throw in cricket. So they throw a ball by spinning the wrist, I mean twisting the wrist, right? So when they do that, then there is all types of different rotation happening to the ball. So obviously it rotates in all the angles, but in this case the ball is just free falling and it's going forward, so it will only rotate like this. Okay, so you will just have to rotate it in this way. So let's start. So the first frame already has a key. Now we'll go to the next over here. So to make things easier, the first time that you do rotation, do a full 180-degree curl. Okay, almost 180 degrees. So you will see it will rotate like this. All right. And then after that, because the height is decreasing, right? It is decreasing by almost 40 to 30%. So the amount of rotation will also decrease. All right. So like here at the top, again, you will rotate. So halfway rotation. Okay. And then at the bottom, it rotates like this. Okay. So you can see it is looking much more natural. Just like that, you can continue rotating it and you will be reducing the amount of rotation as your height keeps on reducing. Okay, now here the height is actually not that much, so I will actually rotate it some more. Now after this, the height is reduced a lot, so we will reduce the rotation. See, I'm just reducing it. Now when it is rolling on the ground, then you do rotation like this. Okay, all right. Don't worry about rotation right now. Your first thing that you have to do is translation and adjusting the curves. And you can try rotation on your own. And if it doesn't work, you get stuck somewhere, you face any issues, we will we will cover it again in the next class. Okay. Oh yes, I didn't tell about shifting the key. So we do it by clicking on the comma and the full stop key on the keyboard. Okay. The comma and the full stop. You can scrub through the timeline like this, but when you already have a key in place, you for the backward, like if you want to go back, then you press the comma key, and if you want to go forward, you press the full stop key. Okay, is it clear? Any confusions? Yes, Siddharth, at the point, like after the impact, it straight away launches to the top, so the rotation speed is faster at the top. But just because it is bouncing doesn't mean that the rotation will increase. It will decrease because the ball is losing its energy. Okay. The height is decreasing. So the rotation will also decrease. It will not increase. All right. And don't worry about rotation. We will do it again in the next class. For today, the assignment is that you have to, like, let me remove the rotation keys so that no one will do it. Okay, I have deleted the rotation keys. Let me show you how I deleted it. See, if I go ahead and try and deleting the keyframe, it will go away completely, right? So what we do instead is we go in the graph editor, go to the rotate Z. That's what I used for rotation. And I'll just select the full curve and hit delete. Now you can see rotation is gone. Okay. So don't worry about rotation. If you're done with the main translations and you want to experiment with it, do it. Otherwise, we'll cover it in tomorrow's class. Okay? All right. Is it clear? Okay. All right. Okay, great. Okay, then let's keep it till here. We're keeping it short. And I will send the reference, image reference, in the group. Oh, and let me show you how you can convert the image sequence. Let's say if you have your own video, like don't use any other reference for this. Use the one that I provide. But for future work, if you want to convert any video, this is how you'll do it. Let me show you. Let me find a video first, which I might have saved. Give me 1 second. Okay. Shiv, what do you mean by panel setting and reset panel setting? Give me context also. How will I understand like this? Okay, so yeah, I'm in Premiere Pro. I will click on new project. Just save it. Wait, let me just give it a name. Okay, so we're uh, inside Premiere Pro. Okay, this is a video editing software. So there are different video editing softwares. If you use some other software, you can use that. There is After Effects, uh, Final Cut Pro, and so many different softwares are available. So if you use any other software, you can use it. And if you're someone who has never worked with a software, I will suggest you to use Premiere Pro because it's very user friendly. Okay, and uh, it's basically there just for video editing mainly. So everything is very straightforward. Okay, so all right. Nuke is not there for video editing. It's for compositing, color grading, and stuff like that. So it's not user friendly at all because it is node based. So a person who has no uh, knowledge of any software, they will cry using Nuke for video editing. Okay. So yeah. All right. So let me import a video. I'll just use any of my videos. Okay. Here is one of my animation videos. Okay, so I have it here. Now, sometimes, like if you're recording any video from your phone, then what happens? It gets saved into 30 FPS. Okay, if you're getting it from any movie, like mostly it will be 24 fps, but it could be because when it gets uploaded on the internet the fps gets changed. So if you're getting it from YouTube also, it will most probably be in either 29 fps or 30 fps. Now it will cause issues because if you export it as 30 fps itself and if you take it to Maya, the timing will not blend properly. It will look weird. So you need to change the FPS as well. So this video was already in 24 FPS, but I'll show you how you can edit it. Consider this as just a normal video, okay? Camera video. So what you do is first you just import the video here, then you right click on it, you go to modify, you go to interpret footage, and you have to go to assume this frame rate, and here you can type 24. So if your frame rate is 30 FPS, just go to 20, assume this frame rate and type 24. Okay. Mine is already 24, so I'll ignore that. And that's it. Now you just have to drag and drop the video in this timeline, and then press Control plus M to export. Okay. Go to the format. Uh, I always prefer JPEG. Okay. Because with JPEG you get quality settings. So if you have a video which is an HD and you're exporting it as an image sequence, you can reduce its quality. Okay, so just use JPEG. And one thing which is very, very important for Maya is that when you're saving your file, you shouldn't have any numbers on it. Right now you can see I have likeness 02 written on it. So if I just export it like this and play it in Maya, it will not work. It will not play the sequence. So what you have to do is you have to just put alphabets there. Okay. So I'll just put ref and I'll hit save. So now the actual name is just full of alphabets. Okay. Let me actually save it on desktop so I can show you all. I just create a folder, and inside this I have created this name, and I'll hit save, and I will reduce its quality, and then I'll click on export. Okay, it is exporting. I mean, it has been exported already. So this is where the folder is. So if I click on it, you can see we have all the image sequences. So you can see it has already added numbers for you. See why Maya gets confused, because if you add any other numbers before this, and when you're importing it as a sequence, Premiere Pro will again put numbers there, right? To tell you which frame it is. So again, Maya gets confused when there are too many numbers. So that's why by default, we just put alphabets so that Premiere can add the numbers on its own. And then when you import it to Maya, it will run smoothly. Let me show you. So if I open Maya, go to a new scene and go to image plane, and you can see it's working smoothly, no problems. All right. So this is all you have to do. Okay. Thank you. All right then. Yeah, that's it. So let's keep it till here. We'll continue tomorrow. So today's assignment is only this much. You only have to work in translate Y and translate X, and rotation you can do tomorrow. I will show rotation again to clear it up further, and that's it. Okay. So everyone can do the work and share it to me, just like you shared yesterday. All right. Let's continue tomorrow. Bye bye. Good night. Good night, guys.